Hello everyone and welcome back to another simulation news video. The second, I think at least this was the second game that was announced in the Aerosoft Next Sim Event was CityDriver Car Simulator. This was a rather surprising announcement because, well, as was received in the Discord. So basically, I'm going to just go rewind a bit backwards and then kind of explain why this was surprising. So CityDriver, as you can see here, is being developed by ViewApp. ViewApp, as you know, are the developers of Tram Sim, and in case you missed that part, probably the logo will indicate to you that it's a ViewApp. This is their kind of design. It's essentially a Tram Sim design. It's just a car, and also it looks pretty much the same as Tram Sim. A lot of the graphical elements do look like Tram Sim. Now, this is essentially, yes, you guessed it, a car simulator. So now, why was this received rather, I don't want to say poorly, but I think the reception of this was rather mixed on the Discord. So a lot of people have commented that, well, most people have driving licenses, so a car simulator isn't really something in the market. I guess the other biggest car simulator, I'm not sure this is necessarily going to be big or not, but I guess the main big car simulator is City Car Driving. But that one's all the way from 2007, which you're talking about, it's 15 years old, but graphically it looks quite decent considering how old it is. I think I did get some updates along the way. But yeah, people also were not quite happy. People also found this as a rather kind of like this was just kind of not dumped, but basically this announcement was kind of just released without any prior build-up. So people were a bit disappointed that there's no mention of Tram Sim and the focus was solely on this new game, CityDriver, which people weren't expecting and not necessarily requiring or wanting. That being said, this is an interesting concept. It could perhaps have potential, although I personally feel like this is probably one of those things, whilst it may try to enter a market that is, try to tap into a market that's, because I think what ViewApp try to do is with Tram Sim as well is try to enter a market where there's less competition and it's been focused on less. So, for example, tram simulators. Although tram simulators make sense because not many people can be tram drivers. Whereas a car simulator, I think there are two issues with car simulators. One is that most people can drive a car. Actually, there's three issues. One, most people can drive a car, so that kind of reduces the level. Yes, I know the same goes for people who fly planes, but I think that's slightly different. Driving a car is quite accessible. You have much more freedom. Even if you fly a plane, you're kind of restricted to, usually you're hired by someone, so you're quite restricted to, basically having to fly according to whatever your job entails. Whereas you can kind of drive a car however you like. The second issue is that a car simulator requires a large map. Otherwise, it just gets boring very easily because you're just driving around in a very small, compact area. So you're not really exploring much scenery. And this kind of brings us on to the third issue is that a car simulator doesn't really have any kind of objective per se. If you have a bus simulator or a tram simulator or even a truck simulator, you're transporting something, you're driving for a purpose. Whereas at the car simulator, you're just kind of driving around, and then you do have the racing games where you can actually drive, a car and experience. Now, I think that's perhaps one of the three main reasons why people have generally avoided the car simulators. Because generally, if you want to drive a car, you kind of race them, you kind of go to the racing simulators. Nonetheless, this is an interesting concept. And the justification is that with Tram Sim, they were hoping to make it like this big old platform. There was some teething issues. So what they've done is they've kind of rebuilt the, so it's not exact. Now this is using some sort of Unreal Engine, whether it's the Unreal 4 Unreal 5, I think it might say it down below, so let's check now actually. It might say here what engine this is using, or it might not, but it's definitely an Unreal Engine, so it's using some sort of Unreal Engine. It doesn't say here, but yeah, it's like Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 5. But yeah, they said they've reworked it a bit so it should perform and work better than on the Tram Sim, and that was kind of the main justification that with this they wanted to make something that is quite good. I think though, personally, I think what seems to be the general consensus in the community, or at least the majority consensus, is that they should have focused on Tram Sim rather than this. They have said that Tram Sim is not forgotten and they're still working on this, but this is kind of not a new major project. I would tend to agree with the community. I think probably focus on Tram Sim would and expanding that would be better, but I guess there is always a financial incentive, but I don't know, but this I'm a bit skeptical. Well, nonetheless, that's my kind of take on it. Now let's just talk about the simulator and that kind of thing. So this is a realistic car driving simulator, so this, it might be promising. It might just add that extra bit of uniqueness. It's just, again, I think the issues is the map is quite small because ViewApp does tend to go for like very small maps. They do tend to focus on quality, but they also tend to focus a lot on like making things very small. So let's just take a look at the features. So basically there'll be a free play. So this is based in Munich. So presumably a lot of the buildings will be imported from Trams in Munich. Why I chose Munich over Vienna is quite interesting because I think they're based in Vienna, but nonetheless this is based in Munich. So again, probably a lot of the areas will be familiar from Tram Sim if you're on Tram Sim Munich. Yep, that sort of thing. So basically, you'll be able to drive various vehicles, whichever vehicle you want in the Tram Sim Munich. And then you can also adjust the AI traffic rules, so you can have the normal rules, or I don't know what other rules they're talking about, so random missions, or yeah, basically kind of like making it more gamesy. There is also a driving school where you can basically train your driving and learn how to drive. So I guess it's kind of what they did in City Car Driving Simulator, where they also allow you to learn how to drive and that kind of thing. But again, usually people just don't bother City Car Driving Simulators because you can really just learn how to drive with a normal car. It's going to be expensive, but it's just like you'll be better off learning to drive in a car around a simulator. It's because with a car, it's just generally you have to look, you have to look at mirrors, you have to check blind spots, and all that kind of things, and also steering wheels. Game steering wheels don't tend to have the level of rotation that a car will have. 900 degrees, where cars will have they'll have. We will lock like when you rotate 3 times. So we're talking here about that's like 360 by 3. I think that's on each side. So we're talking here about 1,800, and then add on that to another 360. So come on, I think 2,000 over 2,000 degrees of rotation. Although I could be wrong. So yeah, you're really not going to get the level of realism that you will, because obviously when you rotate the wheel in a simulator and you rotate the wheel in a car, it'll be quite different. But nonetheless, I'll try not to be so cynical or pessimistic about this. But I think it's still a good concept. I think perhaps though, it's probably one of the things that should have been, I'd say, market researched a bit. Maybe it was, but I don't know. Based off the community, I don't think this is perhaps what people are particularly looking for. But anyway, you can steer, brake, park, so you can kind of do your car simulation. And then there's also practice training. So again, that's kind of just to do with the driving school. They're basically the 4 main, well, not there's like hatchbacks are left out unless but okay, I think that's maybe a compact car. But yeah, they have 4 different vehicle types. You have a sedan, a coupe, a compact car, and a sports car. So now, how much speed you can get from a sports car in the map, I don't know. And then also you have different engine types, including electric cars. So I guess that's kind of cool. You have automatic, semi-automatic. You'll also have internal combustion engine, that's just a diesel thing. And you also have manual. So if you want to practice with the gear shift, and that's probably the main thing people want to do. Then you have the clutch and all that. Obviously the cars have been recreated to a realistic level. The cars they're including, I'm not sure, but this one here, it looks like actually don't know what the car that is, but yeah, it's been a while since I've been in the car, following the car world, very many years. But yeah, here you can see the map. So basically the main areas are Karolinenplatz, Stachus, Siegestor and Feldherrnhalle. There's also a motorway, so you guys, I think it's one of the Autobahns, or they call it the Autobahn in German. So basically you can drive up the speed. So yeah, there's a varied kind of like roads. There you can see the map. It doesn't look particularly big, as you can see there. It's kind of just one circle, so yeah, it doesn't look particularly massive. But yeah, anyway, basically you can. Oh yeah, there's basically realistic physics, all that kind of stuff you expect. We talked about that. Various car types and engine types. Realistic driving experience. Obviously, the AI should behave realistically, although with Tram Sim that was not necessarily the case. But presumably now they have the experience, and this will be a much higher level. Munich is going to be created to a 1-to-1 scale, but again, it's a small part of it. You can also, you can refuel the car at petrol stations. There's missions and all that gaming stuff. There's a free play mode, and also there is actually going to be a modding ability, so you can modify existing cars. And I think you can also create your own cars. So this is a nice thing that was missing in Tram Sim. So you can actually create your own cars, and these will be, I think, probably integrated within the Steam Workshop. So that's a nice little addition to make the game a bit more enjoyable. So it seems here it's kind of eased off on trying to lock out the mods to just pay by developers. I think probably the reason for that is one, that did not necessarily seem to be quite successful at Tram Sim. I don't see any studio apart from actually ViewApp themselves developing any content to Tram Sim. And also, I think because this also has less playability than Tram Sim in a way, you kind of need to have modding in order to keep interest in the game and probably increase sales. So I think they have learned a few stuff from beforehand. The minimum requirements are not listed just yet, but again, it'll be the kind of Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 5 requirements. So, you know, your quad core processor, your like NVIDIA 10th generation above, something like that. Graphics cards, you talk about at least 2 gigabytes of VRAM, but again, to get good performance, you're probably looking at a rather powerful graphics card, probably like a 650 or a 1650 above, that sort of thing. Also, because this will have a lot of trees, yeah, and it's driving, so it's hopefully performance is a big question mark on this, because no Trump's and performance in low spec PCs was a bit sketchy, and this obviously when you're driving a little more noticeable. So hopefully, but hopefully they'll have optimized it better by then. We'll see. Yeah, generally similar and minimum requirements of the bus. So depending on how well you can run the bus by TML Studios, that should indicate how well you can expect to run this. So folks, that's the driver simulator. Let me know what you think down below, and maybe you agree or disagree. Share your thoughts down below. And yeah, that's it for now. Until next time.